Hey, that is some ugly pen you got there. You should put that with chaos and have a shootout.
And today we'll be talking about two pens. The Namiki Falcon, which has already been featured in another shootout, and the Stipula Model T. Now why? Because these do not look alike at all. That was a very strange noise. Did you hear that? It was a very low, sounded like some alarm. Well, whatever. Probably my ballpoint pen user crossed my perimeter. That's the type of stuff that happens then. Anyway, why these two pens? Well, because of the nib. Two people suggested this, and there may be more, so I'll just get this out. Ink, by the way, is everywhere on my hands, but just ignore that. The reason we do a shootout between those two is the nibs. The nibs are springy, very springy, to say the least, and reasonably flexy, to say some more. I like them for that. The Namiki Falcon is known for that. It has a soft nib. It's I think most people would call that semi-flex. The Stipula has a titanium nib. Now, I always thought titanium was an extremely hard metal, but it does actually give you some flex. Now, a bit of a warning, just before we start, you can spring this. With a steel nib, when you apply too much pressure, at some point you start to feel some type of feedback, and that is a warning of the pen telling you don't push me any further, because then the nib tines will get sprung, bang, and they will stay open and they will not get back to their normal position. With titanium, you don't really feel that. So if you push this too far, you need to buy a new nib. And there's no really warning signal. I've been, quite a bunch of people have mentioned that to me. So if you get this and you use it, please be careful. Don't overdo it. You can get some flex out as I show, but just don't overdo it. Okay. Now the two pens, comparing the exteriors of the two pens would, I think, be a little senseless because they're very, very different. It's really about the nib today, but okay, just to be sure, the Stipula is bigger. Another ballpoint pen user crosses the perimeter. The Stipula is a bit bigger. It's a bit, that's, I think, well, actually the pens themselves, the barrel and the sections are roughly the same size. It's just that the nib of the Stipula is quite a bit bigger than the Falcon nib. The Falcon has a 14 karat gold nib, which I definitely call semi-flex. Told you about the titanium nib here. This is my only titanium nib. I'm not sure how representative this is of other titanium nibs, but I think it's pretty cool. Okay, both pens have a cap that screws off. I always like that. You can accidentally pull it off. Both pens use a converter. The Falcon is a very light pen. The Stipula isn't particularly heavy either. I would say it's maybe a bit heavier, but of course when I say would, probably, etc., then you want to know, and you're right. So I'll just grab my scale. I put on the Namiki Falcon, 20 grams. I put on my Stipula, about 25 grams. It's a very simple thing. It's just an analog scale. This is not a digital thing or something. So the Stipula is just a little bit heavier, a little bit bigger, definitely a bit wider. It has more girth. What else can I say? Both pens post section works well on both pens. Smooth resin, and I think Stipula claims this is celluloid. Why not? I mean, I have no reason to doubt them. Both pens are pleasant to the touch, pleasant to use, and you know what? I think that's really all I can tell you about it. I mean, clearly choosing between the two is a bit of a matter of looks, but what you really need to see is the nibs in action. So that's more than enough talk. I think we just need to compare the two nibs. And that's all there's to it. So I hope this was useful, and I hope that the writing is going to be useful, and that's all there's to it. So I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, on the left, we have the Namiki Falcon. If you hear a strange sound, I put my camera, it's just a photo camera actually put on video. I've put it on autofocus now, as a sort of a tracking focus. continuous autofocus and not just a single focus. And with my previous camera by the same brand, it recorded some noise when it was refocusing. I've no idea whether that'll happen here, but of course it would be more useful to have a continuous focus. So we'll just have to figure that out. But before I get a million questions again on what's going on with my camera, now you know. Stipula. Model T, and how beautifully that fits on the page. Once more, thank you very much. Writing. No flex, just writing. You hear the sound, it's not real scratch. It's different. In a good way. I mean, this is a typical pen. The nib has a very specific feel. But I don't think it's scratchy. It's just a feeling you have to get used to. The exact same goes for the Stipula. No flex. I feel no scratch whatsoever. If you ask me right now, on this very paper, which is Rhodia, which of the two do you prefer? I say this one. Now, I did get the Namiki in fine. Being Asian, it's more like extra fine, so that will naturally be a bit more scratchy than a medium nib would be, usually speaking. But still, I mean, the Namiki is 14 karat. It's a nice nib, but this one gives a little less feedback, which I prefer. Now, the real thing you've been waiting for, the amount of flex. In the Namiki, I think it's quite impressive. Some people say it's just a soft nib. Well, of course, that's their right. I will not argue, but I think it is a bit more than that. I think it has more than just, springiness to it. Here you have a regular fountain pen. I mean, that's the biggest amount of spring I can push out of that. Now, that is a steel nib, not a gold nib, blah blah blah, etc. But still. I think this is quite impressive. Stipula. I am a little careful here because you can actually spring the titanium nib if you apply too much pressure. That's it. I have the strong feeling you can get at least equal amounts of flex from both pens, and the Stipula appears to be wetter. You see the ink is darker, it's more saturated. You see that in the writing sample too, I think. So that's what you do. Now let's put the max flex I can get from the Stipula to the back of the max flex I can get from the Namiki. I really don't dare to push this any further. This is as far as it goes. It looks to me like the Stipula can do a little bit more flex. Maybe that's just my eye deceiving me. What I do love about the Namiki is the fine nib. It really goes back to a very nice fine line. The Stipula is a little wider by nature. And I again have the feeling this is a bit broader, but this is also wetter, so it may just be an optical illusion because this is a darker, more saturated ink color that makes it look a bit wider. It is the exact same ink in both pens. It is Waterman Florida Blue. Now Serenité, I believe. This is definitely smoother. I mean, you can hear it. That and this. Sounds pretty scratchy to me, actually. It's a little better when you apply more pressure. You should have been able to hear a difference there. Okay, so which one is best? If I were to pick one right now, I love both pens dearly. But if I were to pick one right now, I'd say Stipula. And the reason for that is that the nib, for me, is just a little bit smoother. That's a little bit nicer. But as I said, my Namiki has a fine nib, which is pretty much an extra fine, and that will just, I mean, less tipping, etc. It will just be a bit scratchier than a medium nib. Of course, this is 14 karat gold. This is titanium. Different nib materials that will help. Also, when it comes to looks, I think the Namiki, it's interesting, and I especially like the nib. And now that I have autofocus, maybe we should try to zoom in a bit, if it even works. I mean, okay, so very interestingly shaped nib, I think. I've never really seen anything like that. The Stipula nib is a bit more, well, I'd almost say run-of-the-mill as to shape. It's also a different material, I already told you that. But, you know, this all black and gold thing that Namiki has got going with the pen, it's nice, but it's not like we haven't seen this a million times before, right? I mean, black and gold highlights, Mont Blanc, there are, I think, some Pelicans, there are, you have some platinum, the like music pen, the 3776 has this, whereas this is something I don't recall having seen a million times before. So I would prefer this pen. But both are excellent pens, and both will definitely serve you well. And that's all there's to it. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.